Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement Women's League has condemned a comment made by Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar during Friday's sitting of the House of Representatives, describing her words as highly inappropriate and wholly unbecoming of the country's leader. Okay, my response: where was the PNM Women's League when Young used the term Zami in Parliament? Now, if they did end up condemning his statements, then fine, I apologize about that. What about Rowley's vile statements over the past 10 years? I know for sure I cannot remember any time when the Women's League condemned any of the statements made by the former Emperor of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's just about hypocrisy. I said, miss us with this utter nonsense and PNM media hypocrisy. Bear in mind, people, I don't think it was a wise decision that our Prime Minister made by making such a statement in Parliament. Yes, you were being provoked by the opposition and by Imbert, but you need to have some kind of restraint when you are interacting, especially in public and making statements in public, because you really don't want to set a certain type of example for the youths to put in their minds that when they are provoked, they could resort to violence. Now, of course, Padarat said that she was meaning it in almost like a figurative way, in a political way. I'm not sure if I'm buying that. But the point goes back to those without sin, let them cast the first stone, and PNM is full of a whole lot of sin, and therefore they are just being total hypocrites. And we as human beings tend to make that same type of error at times, even in public. When we are provoked, we end up making statements like that. Thankfully, the Prime Minister didn't show any signs of actually wanting to take any sort of physical action against the very provocative Imbert. So let's just hope that this isn't something that isn't a precedent that's being set, and the Prime Minister will show restraint in the future. Ladies, meet your new go-to bag, our mega duffel handbag, perfect for your travel, shopping, the gym, and everything in between. Crafted from premium Oxford material, it's not just stylish, it's built to last. The ideal size, flawless design, and unbeatable quality make it the bag you'll reach for every time. Versatile and ready for anything. WhatsApp 762-6589 to order yours today. Grieving husband Rakesh George has moved to take legal action over the gas tank explosion that killed his wife Ria, pushing the long-running tragedy into the courtroom as he demands answers from the National Petroleum Marketing Company, NP, and the fire service. I support him 100%. Let's just hope that justice prevails. This tragedy has been taking place far too often in recent times, and the strange thing about it is, people, it has only really begun to take place since April. Seems to be quite strange. I don't know if someone in NP is trying to sabotage and shine a bad light on the Kamala Persad administration, because how come all of a sudden so many of these gas tanks are exploding, and yet it wasn't really taking place the past 10 years under the PNM? I'm telling you, this smells sabotage. No more overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging, lightweight and quiet, ideal for kids and adults, works with all smartphones, makes a great gift. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. This was really sad news. UNC counselor Ramona Victor murdered by husband in murder-suicide. Ramona Tenille Victor, 36, was reportedly killed by her husband Rodney Ramsumer at their Penal Road, Kurab Branch Road, Siparia home. Both were found on a bed. The gruesome discovery was made by Victor's father on Sunday. Their bodies were in a state of decomposition, so that means it took place probably about the day before or so. Victor was the counselor of Siparia East, San Francisco South. Condolences to the family. And let me just make it very clear. Again, I say this numerous times in my videos. Men, especially out there, need to learn to show restraint. Stop allowing your emotions and that type of obsessive behavior in your mind to take control of you. You do not own a woman. God provided you with a woman to be your partner, your helper, your companion. You do not own her. She belongs to God, just like your own life belongs to God. I do not understand why men think it's right to use physical violence if a woman probably is either not submitting the way that you want her to, or in some cases the person may be unfaithful. I don't know what was the situation in this case. I don't know if she was going to end the relationship. A lot of the times that's when men tend to resort to using this type of violence, is when the woman decides to end the relationship. And second, or probably even tied at first, is if there's infidelity involved. Nevertheless, that does not justify taking anyone's life. It doesn't justify taking your life either. But if you so choose and you feel as though you cannot take it anymore, then let God deal with you for taking actions against your own body. But it's only a narcissist. A narcissist will say, you know what? I'm taking everyone else with me. God, I'm telling you, is going to judge people very significantly for that type of action. Premium touchscreen wireless headsets restocked. 1.9-inch HD full-color touchscreen. ANC and ENC noise reduction for crystal clear calls. 9D panoramic sound. Long battery life and fast charging. Control music, videos, TikTok, YouTube, and much more. Camera feature, voice assistant, timer, stopwatch, and lyrics on screen. Water resistant, sleek design. Available in gold, black, blue, and purple. Gift ready packaging with replacement earbuds included. Never lose your earbuds again with the Find Headphones feature that actually works. Don't miss out. WhatsApp 762-6589 to place your order. Limited stock available. Speaking of despicable actions, a 17-year-old girl was abducted and violated, intimately violated. I don't use the other words because I try to avoid the algorithms online. So you all will understand what I mean by an alleged PH taxi driver on her way to school on Friday. Now, the mainstream media said PH driver. I'm saying alleged because I haven't seen anything in the news report that proves that he was a genuine PH taxi driver. The teen said around 5:50 a.m., she was standing at the corner of Solomon Drive, Chinchin Road, Canupia, awaiting her school transport, when a man of African descent, who she does not know, approached her, stuck a knife at her waist, and told her, "So here what happening? Don't move. If you move, I will send you into eternity. I will murder you." The said man then pushed her towards a blue car. Now, he didn't say send into eternity. Remember, I just avoid the algorithms. And they use the K word. I try to avoid the K word. I will say murder. Somehow or the other, the algorithms tend not to really be bothered much by the murder word. But the other word, yeah. So I tend not to use the K word. And that's why usually I just say send into eternity. But anyhow, back to the report. The said man then pushed her towards a blue car that was parked nearby and pushed her into the back seat. The attacker then engaged the child lock before driving off to ensure that she couldn't try to attempt to escape. The man then stopped at Chin Chin Road Junction where he stole the girl's Samsung S25 Plus valued at 8,000 TT dollars. Yes, it's expensive, people. And switched it off. He then took her to an apartment. Wow, but that would have been so scary. But she was probably even wondering if she would have ended up surviving that situation. So he then took her to an apartment where he sexually assaulted her, violated her. Around 1:40 p.m., the man dropped her off at Solomon Drive, Chin Chin Drive, Canupia, and fled. My response, how does the media know that the guy was a PH driver though, and not a random guy who was seeking out a victim to attack? Nevertheless, please stop traveling with PH vehicles, especially if you're a female and all by yourself. I'm not saying that this young lady was going to travel with him. I'm just speaking in general here now. It will most likely be easier to identify a predator if he is a taxi driver because, of course, he will be more known on the taxi stand by passengers, unlike a PH driver who sometimes just randomly comes every few days or whatsoever. Laws, people, need to change to ensure that violators spend more than 20 years in prison for these types of crimes. A matter of fact, these barbaric actions should result in life behind bars, because a lot of the times people, when they come back out, they end up being repeated offenders, and they graduate sometimes. When you watch a lot of these crime shows, they graduate to committing murder as well. Anyone who is willing to force someone to be intimate with them is a narcissist who's unlikely to ever change their ways. Tired of losing your keys, phone, or coins in that annoying gap between your car seat and the console? We've got the perfect solution. Our universal car seat gap fillers are back in stock, ready to save your stuff and make your ride clutter-free. Available in black, brown, beige, and red, they're designed to fit any car seat and blend perfectly with your interior. Simply WhatsApp 762-6589 to place your order and enjoy delivery straight to your door in just 1 to 3 days. Moving on now to regional news, and we're starting off with Guyana. The U.S. Navy and the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, successfully completed a passing exercise within Guyana's territorial waters on Saturday, November 22nd, between the USS Mahan and GDFS Shahud. The exercise strengthened coordination between the U.S. Navy and the GDF Coast Guard and enhancing interoperability for future tactical and contingency operations with partner nations and reinforcing the U.S. and Guyana's strategic security partnership. It shows strength, people, because of course, rogue nations, corrupt nations, autocratic nations, like Venezuela at this point in time, they know for a fact Guyana cannot defend themselves on their own. They know for a fact Trinidad cannot defend ourselves on our own. Likewise, any of these other Caribbean territories. And this is why we need America to stand with us. This is why it saddens me so much when I see tribals saying, no, we don't want America in our territory, stay out. Guyana is wise enough to acknowledge the fact that they need Big Brother's help. You won't be disappointed with this one. Look and feel great every day. Painless trimming with no pulling of hair guaranteed. Comfortable to hold and lightweight. Intelligent anti-pinch system. Safety travel lock. Accurate and painless trimming. Durability 100% quality. Fast charging. To place an order, call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Number 63, Beach. The crown jewel of Berbice's coastline is set for a major economic and tourism transformation, with President Dr. Irfan Ali announcing the launch of a bed and breakfast B&B entrepreneurship program targeting young people across Region 6. A lot of development taking place in Region 6 these days. The initiative will create 100 new entrepreneurs with a mandate that at least 60% must be women, marking one of the most aggressive youth empowerment and tourism-driven interventions undertaken in the region in recent times, or probably in the history of Guyana. Moving on now to Jamaica. This is really sad news, and I'm personally saddened by this. Reggae icon and actor Jimmy Cliff has passed away. The announcement was shared on his Instagram page on Monday, noting that he died from a seizure after battling pneumonia. He was 81 years of age. That is a blessed age. People usually live further into the 80s and even into the 90s nowadays. Condolences to the family and all his fans, including myself. I am saddened by his passing. I loved his music, reggae music. But, he integrated all different types of music into the reggae music. Such a unique voice, really wonderful. Once again, condolences to his family. A policeman fatally shot his brother during an altercation in which the cop was reportedly stabbed by his sibling. We're still in Jamaica. The incident happened in Park Hall in Frankfield District, Clarendon. It is reported that the constable who is assigned to the St. James Police Division and his brother had a dispute, and the policeman was attacked with scissors. Wow. In Jamaica, the seemingly endless coils of asphalt through valleys and along the sea remind us of more than just geography. The island's road network stretches to almost 21,000 kilometers of roads, of which over 15,000 kilometers are paved. A lot of people said they won't pave properly though, at least not for a very long time. Probably like here in Trinidad and Tobago, potholes for so. That figure is often translated to about 13,000 miles in total length, or roughly 9,003 miles of paved roads. To circumnavigate the island via major routes may take about 14 to 16 hours with a few stops. So right now, because of the storm, a lot of those roads will need to be repaired. And as the saying goes, out of evil comes good, because a lot of those roads needed to be repaired for many years now under the Andrew Holness administration. International news now. Back in custody, and this is good news. Authorities say Morgan Geyser, who was convicted of the Slender Man-inspired stabbing attack of a 12-year-old friend in 2014, was found at an Illinois truck stop after cutting off her ankle monitor and escaping a Wisconsin group home over the weekend. This is really good news, and I hope that this time around she will be kept in prison, because now she is, you cannot trust her to keep on that ankle bracelet or whatsoever it is, ankle monitor. She cannot be trusted to be out in public. People, keep her behind prison bars. Ohio officer who shot and murdered a pregnant black woman accused of shoplifting alcohol has been acquitted of all charges, including murder. This was so disturbing to read. Blendon Township officer Connor Grubb faced a possible life sentence for the shooting of Takia Young. Police said they approached her car after a report of stolen alcohol. Both officers shouted at her to get out of the vehicle. Sadly, Young said no and asked, "Are you going to shoot me?" She moved the car forward, and Grubb then fired one round into her chest. The thing about it is, although she moved the car forward, the direction she was moving was away from the officer. Anyone that looks at the video online can see it and verify what I'm saying here. Officers tried to save her life after shooting her, but she died at the hospital. Her unborn daughter also died. This was really so disturbing to read. And sadly, in a case like this, I don't agree with my fellow conservatives, because a lot of them celebrated the acquittal of this police officer. In my opinion, he committed murder, people. The man had more than enough time. He had ample time to move from in front of that vehicle when he realized that she was trying to escape. Am I saying that what she did was right? No. She should have complied. But the reality is, you are a police officer, and you are supposed to be trying, while enforcing the law, you're supposed to be seeking to preserve people's lives, which is not what you did. You had the opportunity to move away from in front of the vehicle, and you did not. As a matter of fact, after you shot the woman, while her car was in motion, you still had to move away from the vehicle. You could have done so and yet still preserved her life. Then, of course, proceeded to pursue the vehicle to apprehend her. To me, this was murder. This was a case of using excessive force. And that's what the prosecutor said. Sadly, the jury decided, no, he was right. He was justified in taking this woman's life. To me, justice was not served. This is really a tragedy, a real tragedy. Another case where the system failed people in society. A judge who let alleged Chicago train attacker out enabled him to set fire to an innocent woman. New details have emerged in the shocking case of the 26-year-old woman who was set on fire aboard the Chicago CTA train. According to reports, the suspect, 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, who has over 70 prior arrests, was released by a Cook County judge earlier this year, despite prosecutors warning that he was a real and present threat to public safety. In August, Reed was charged with aggravated battery. Prosecutors urged the court to detain him, but Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez declined, reportedly saying, "I can't keep everybody in jail because the state's attorney wants me to." No, madam, you should have had enough sense to understand that this person was posing a serious threat to other members of society. On Monday night, police say Reed poured a liquid on a woman aboard the CTA and set her on fire. She suffered severe burns across 50% of her body and remains in critical condition. I hope she recovers fully in Jesus' name. Reed was arrested Tuesday while shouting, "Burn alive, B," the B word, and has since been charged federally, including with terrorism-related offenses. This case is now raising serious questions about public safety, repeat offenders, and bail decisions in Cook County. That judge should be held criminally accountable for her actions, because that person is now either scarred for life or, in worst case scenario, may lose her life because a judge decided to be woke and just incompetent and corrupt and heartless. In some good news, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, has granted President Trump expanded wartime authority under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, clearing the way for mass deportations of Tren de Aragua members, terrorist members, gang members, officially classified as an invasion force, directly to El Salvador's mega prison. That, people, is extremely wonderful news, and it shows, unlike what tribal Trinis and the rest of the people in the Caribbean believe, that just Trump targeting our region for oil, Jed. No. Donald Trump is trying to protect his citizens from terrorists who are just so-called, or labeled as so-called gang members. But these people are in fact terrorists, and that is why I continue to applaud America's attacks against these terrorists in the international waters. Some other good news, at least in my opinion, and for Christian conservatives like myself. Israel is planning to strike Lebanon with a force several times greater than anything Lebanon has experienced until today. The general assessment, even before the elimination of Hezbollah's chief of staff a few hours ago, or a couple days ago now, is that Israel will deliver a blow to Lebanon immediately after the Pope departs. The Lebanese source bases his claims on information from the U.S. State Department. The barriers that have been holding the situation in Lebanon in place are rapidly disappearing, and Israel is receiving broad support for a limited but extremely powerful strike against Hezbollah, the terrorist organization Hezbollah. Intelligence information revealed that Hezbollah has succeeded in disrupting the Lebanese army's monitoring of its disarmament, and that the organization is rebuilding its military arsenal, just like in Iran, especially its fleet of cheap and highly efficient drones. Washington's patience has officially run out, and there's an agreement that there's no way to block a new military campaign, which will, of course, be carried out by Israel, which basically works on behalf, which will, with their attacks, basically benefit all other nations in the world when it pertains to national security. Even those that condemn their actions, probably privately, are glad that these terrorists are being eliminated. Closing off now with the interesting facts segment. The Indian subcontinent has long been protected by one of the most formidable natural barriers on Earth. The Himalayas stretch across more than 2,400 kilometers, forming a nearly unbroken wall of rock and ice that blocks travel from the north. For ancient travelers, there was only one reliable pathway into the region, the Khyber Pass. Located between present-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, this narrowing opening ranges from about 10 to 50 kilometers in width and threads through steep cliffs and winding valleys. For thousands of years, it served as the main corridor for human movement. Traders carrying silk and spices passed through it. Migrating tribes used it to enter new lands. Empires from Persia, Greece, Central Asia, and later the Mughals marched their armies through its narrow floor to enter India. Its geography created a choke point that shaped history. Whoever controlled the pass controlled the flow of goods, soldiers, and ideas between Central Asia and the Indian plains. In many ways, the rise and fall of powers in the region depended on this single route. That's some history and interesting facts for all of you. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.